Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Dana Martin. This is the Sith Dominion, and tonight we have with us Cam. Hello, Cam. And Debbie. Hello, Debbie.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is huge, man. I have been putting off talking about Vader, and tonight will be episode 1 of 3. It's episode 20 through 22, where we will be talking about Vader, but not yet. Not yet. We'll talk about Vader in a bit. We gotta save it. Savor it. So what have you been up to, Cam? We've got the holiday coming up. What have you been doing this last week? You got all your shopping done?
Oh yeah, shopping's all done. Gifts are wrapped.
Not Legos for yourself. Like, do you have shopping done for others?
Yeah. I'm done. So we had a couple friend Christmases, and I was telling Dana at the start of the show. My buddy Josiah got me this.
Nice.
Shout out to Josiah in chat.
Nice.
Oh my god.
But yeah, just trying to finish out this last week of work. So
Josiah, you can be my friend too. Debbie, where are you at? You got your stuff done?
Yeah, they're not wrapped. I've got the last 3 weeks of the year off, so I've just been a slug, pretty much, watching movies and shows and whatnot. And
does the high-powered businesswoman get the country boy in the end of those movies? Like they all?
I don't watch those movies.
No,
no, that's not me. I've watched a couple of Godzilla movies. I've watched a couple of Christmas movies, but they've been more like last night I watched Jingle All the Way, and I've watched White Christmas and Gremlins.
Heck yeah. Some of the shows we talked about last week on the holiday special.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saving Die Hard for either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So we'll see.
Heck yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about some news outside of the Star Wars world, but certainly within the Disney world. And that is about Jonathan Majors. No longer going to be Kang, for sure. And I think the general consensus from what I've been reading and some of what we've been talking about is, yeah, I'm glad Disney waited until an actual verdict before moving forward with destroying someone's career or allowing them to destroy it themselves. Unlike with Johnny Depp, where they just said, you're screwed and that's dumb and all that happened. So, I mean, where do we see this going? We were talking in pre-game here about the recasting, like a Brody and from Terrence to Don Cheadle, and that worked out fine. Like, do we see this going in a recast direction, or do we see this being restoried like we see some reports about using Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom?
Well, like I was telling Cam beforehand, they can easily recast. I mean, he was spaghettified in Loki. So, and he was supposedly died in Quantumania. So easily they can just recast and just move on, finish out that storyline, that phase, whatever. And and like you said, they recasted Terrence Howard. How many times have they recasted Hulk? They recasted Red Skull. I mean, they've done it several times in Marvel, so I don't see why they can't do that. I know a lot of people are.
Go ahead.
A lot of people. Well, the fandom is pretty divided. Some of them want him to move on to Doctor Doom. I don't think they're ready for Doctor Doom yet, because I know that it possibly could be down the road. And I think if they rush it, then nobody's going to be happy.
So if you have like in Loki or the whole multiverse thing, just because Loki was Loki in our timeline or whatever, another branch has Loki as a female or Loki looking like something else. So I think it's open to recast and it fit just fine. There's many of me coming, or whatever he says in season 2. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Cam?
I agree. I think it'd be an easy recast. I would like to kind of see them finish out that story arc, but I think Kevin Feige is all in on getting Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom in. And I don't know if that's the right direction to go because I think it's just a simple recast and finish out the story. So.
Yeah, and I think there'll be some fandom that's not too happy. Like you said, Debbie, I think they're kind of divided. Some of them want to see this play out. What's the end game of this, right? Of this phase, and don't rush jumping into. I think we can all agree. Don't rush into, throwing out a piece of garbage just because you need to put a movie out into 2025, right?
Right.
Man, so how do you think? How do you think these things coming out impact? This is a just different question, maybe. When these things start to happen or start to come out, how does the organization react? I mean, we've seen them react in Disney's case, extreme on both ways. How do you know? How do you deal with that? I don't know. It's a question that I don't own I own my own business, but not like that. Like if I'm the only employee, if I screw up, it's me. I know that we work in different industries that stuff can happen at the top within your org, and how do you handle those things? How does the company handle those things? And so it's easy to armchair it, I think, and say, oh, they should have or shouldn't have. But I don't know. From your perspective, what would you think of, like, within if you were in control, like, what would you have done in the Jonathan Majors situation, for instance?
I think with how much they had invested, like in his character, like him playing all the versions of Kang and multiple movies and all this world building, I think they were kind of hoping that. I think a part of the reason why they didn't jump to such a big extreme is because they were kind of hoping that he may not be found guilty, and they could just maybe he doesn't go in a certain project, but in the big project or something. You know what I mean? But I think that I like the way that they handled it. Very unlike they've done in the past. So yeah. I think it's kind of how I would have handled it, honestly.
Would you handle it the same then too, Debbie?
Yeah, the way they've done it this with Jonathan, I think that was the correct way to do it, unlike what they did to Depp, and they didn't even wait.
Yeah. and there was an opportunity, if I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie, you would know, you were closer to it, I think, is that we were going to have on one of our shows an interview with him, Jonathan Majors. Is that, maybe it was an article?
Might have been an article.
Maybe it was.
I don't recall any interviews, but.
And all of that dropped, I think, like a week or 2 weeks before all of this was supposed to go down. If anyone out there is listening and knows what I'm talking about, please let me know, because I'm probably just talking out the side of my mouth. Yeah, and I can tell people aren't listening because they're still chatting with each other in the Literary Legion, and I'm like asking their, hey, Literary Legion, help me out, That's right.
Exactly.
I don't think what? Go ahead.
No, I said exactly.
What are you guys doing? So yeah. Oh, any other closing thoughts on either Marvel universe moving forward without Kang or with Kang? Or, I mean, what would you like to see?
Quality content.
Quality content.
Yeah. Quality would be nice. Although I did enjoy Loki season 2. I thought that was really good.
Agreed.
But I'm sure while this trial was going on, the higher ups was already coming up with scenarios. This is what we're going to do. If he's innocent, this is what we're going to do when he's found guilty. I mean, I would think with a company like Disney, they've already had these talks and there's already plans made. At least I would have if I
Well,
owned a
especially
business
after
like
Johnny
that.
Depp, right? The way
Right.
that led on and how fandom got really pissed off from the beginning. Like, guys, wait until it's done, or whatever. Yeah. I like your comment too, Cam, about quality content. We were talking in the beginning too about even the shows within the series. You're like, that was kind of a throwaway episode. Like, what are you guys doing? And I think we've touched on that in it's the show I'm on with you guys sometimes, Debbie, you and David.
MCU Monday.
MCU Monday. Yeah, MCU Monday. I'll talk about Man, I had 3 cups of hot cocoa. You guys are killing. I mean, big cups.
I mean, we watched Guardians 3 2 nights ago. It's the first time we'd seen it because we didn't go see it in theaters because I'm not a big Chris Pratt fan for no valid reason, honestly. But it was the first film that I've watched from Marvel that in a while that I've kind of like made me feel. I mean, it was an emotional movie, honestly. with
Yeah, it
Rocket
was.
stuff. So, but it was. I was like, man, I was kind of bullish on the James Gunn Superman film, but after watching that, I'm like, I think James Gunn can do something. So
Yeah, he did really well with all of the Guardian movies. I don't think there's a loser in the bunch, including the holiday special, which I've watched twice already
I haven't watched it this
in the
season.
last week or two.
It's
So
fun. It's fun.
hmm
I gotta say the third one is right there for me with the first one as far as quality of story, giving you just action but also emotion. Like, it was just really good. Third one was great. There's that ride at Disney World, the Guardians ride. I got to ride that last year, and oh my god, guys, I have never. It's like indoor. Have you guys have been on it yet? Number one fan. Hello, Josiah.
you missed the. Here you go, buddy. I showed them earlier at the start of the stream, but just so you don't call me
There
a
you
liar.
go.
Here you go, buddy.
That was pretty cool.
yeah,
Josiah.
Dana and I would both like to have something like that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
How come
I know you don't know me from Adam, but
just
Sorry, I can't bring the Lego wall in here. That's unfortunate.
would
Be
be-
a large
oh.
bookshelf to move.
Yeah, I love when David's on. You can catch some of his stuff in the background sometimes that he's worked on. Sweet. Well, all right. I don't know what else we can talk about with that. That's kind of talk to death, and we're all here really to talk about the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader.
The guy.
Hey, what?
The guy.
The guy. Oh no. So I'm not going to talk. Tell me. I wrote this article. It's pretty cool. You should go check it out. It's about Darth Vader. Why did this go back up again?
you hit a button.
I hit the space bar.
Yeah, man, the cocoa's gone to your brain, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Can you remember the first time you saw Darth Vader on screen? 1, and if so, 2, tell me about that experience. Either of you can start with that.
A New Hope. I was a original trilogy kid. VHS. Right as he walked through the door, I looked at my stepdad and was like, "Who is this guy?" And I was just infatuated for 2 hours. So I was waiting every minute for him to come back.
Hell yeah.
Summer of 77. I'm old. Yes, thank you. Yeah, summer of 70.
No.
I was 13, so I'm old. Anyways, summer of 77, and seeing that, I mean, the theater, we were in South Carolina, I believe, and my brother was stationed there in the Navy, and wherever my brother was stationed, that's where we went for summer vacations. So anyways, theater was packed, and I mean, when he walked through the door, you could just hear a collective gasp. It was just like, holy crap, what is that? Because we had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
What is that? Who is that? Who who's underneath the mask? And yeah, he was terrifying, to say the least.
I need to see it in the theater. I have never seen A New Hope in the theater. I've seen Empire, and I still never seen Return of the Jedi. There's an article about that too. But I really want to see that right there, where he walks in and it on the big screen. Well, I guess I have a Oculus and I can make it big, but it's just different. There's something about that, right? And so one of the things, like, okay, well, villains, right? You have villains all through movie history. From I think one of the more recent mentally scary villains was Agent Smith from The Matrix. Because he could be anybody, and he was so into. It was really good, well written villain. And I didn't feel like we had a villain until around him that would have been able to compete with the grandiose of Darth Vader, if that makes sense. Like, because yeah, when he walked into that hallway, it was like, who is this commander? Tear the ship apart, or what? It's like, who is this dude? And he's choking somebody and throwing him up against the. Oh my god, sorry. But
well, and the voice made it even more terrifying, because James Earl Jones has got that really deep timbre to his voice, and I believe he was from theater too, so he has that projection in that the way he talks.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yes, lots of
double scary.
No, you're right. And with him, him doing that voice, there, like you can hear it in your ear. Like when you read Darth Vader lines, that's what you hear is that ominous, deep, dark voice. And I don't mean dark, James. You know what I mean? The dark voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's so powerful. So what I was 2, so I didn't see it in the theater initially. In 77. But let's think about this. Is there any other villain in any other book, movie, series, anything that has had the longevity of 40 plus years? I mean, you say the Bible and the devil or whatever, but I mean like an actual villain in media in recent history for 40 years. He's been scary, like terrifying to people. Outside of horror movies, Freddy, Jason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anyone else that would be close to the fear power that I don't know what to call it?
Not
I mean,
in my lifetime.
I mean, maybe not fear power, but in terms of grandiose scale, I'd probably say Joker. Honestly, that'd be my first thought.
Yeah.
I know he's not scary in the same sense, but scary in terms of he just kind of does what he does for fun. And in certain comics and certain media, like he can just be. I think Joker in the Arkham games and the Batman animated series, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. I think those are.
Yeah.
I think Joker might be, just in terms of overall recognizable scale in media with Darth Vader, but
I would agree.
No one in terms of just being scared.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's his. I think with his Joker, I think you're right, and it's his complete and utter lack of any. What's the word? Morality, guidance. Like it's this, and whatever I'm trying to do is all that matters. And in that way, very similar to Darth Vader, planning things out, putting plans into motion. And the Dark Knight Heath Ledger version, that was huge in, I think, establishing he's not just a laughing idiot. The dude is crazy smart.
Superman was 78. If you're talking Superman the movie.
We were talking about Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what we were saying about it. I don't know why that came up.
how he like was Superman and how he was
Really?
able to kind of embody like
Yeah,
when he was Clark and when he was Superman, just the
acted it well.
overall portrayal. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve was our Superman growing up. I don't know. They've had like 3 in the last 15 years now, or whatever. Can't really decide on those. But Vader, man. So if we were to think about I like episode 1. We're going to talk about today more along the lines of how he became Vader, because I think if we can understand how a person gets to that point, then we can understand maybe where they go from there. So being able to understand his motivations later comes from his attachments to his family and things of that nature. I truly believe like that much thought went into creating that, even within the Ahsoka series and within gosh, where else did he show up? Rogue One, he showed up. Although I didn't like him in that as much. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations. Are you kidding me? I just can't imagine him doing that. But then you get Clone Wars Anakin, right? And that's totally a Clone Wars Anakin thing. Yeah. So let's talk about Anakin Skywalker. Tell me what you think about his relationship with his mother and his relationship with Watto, and how those two things compare and help the foundation of turning him into Vader.
I think one of the things I always think about is when he tells, I think Padme, he's like, she tells him he's a slave or something like that, and he's like, "I'm a person, and my name is Anakin." I think he was a slave, but I think he always viewed himself as more, and I think he kind of felt, obviously, with his uh, kind of overall force nature, like he knew that he always wanted a life outside of being a slave on Tatooine, and I think it's hard to not view Watto when he was a kid, certainly as kind of like a father figure in a sense, because he had no other father figure. He had his mother, and that's why I think Qui-Gon dying at the end of Phantom Menace is so huge, because he was exactly what Anakin needed. So,
Yeah, Debbie.
Yeah, the relationship with his mother, I mean, it seemed like everything he did was to make her life easier, in the sense of building C3PO to help her do things around the house or whatever. And they seem to have had a good, close relationship, regardless if they were slaves. And then the Watto thing, yeah, I mean, that was the only male figure that he had, basically. Not that it was a good one, but despite of that, he was still a pretty good kid.
Yeah. Does it ever say, and forgive me if this is a dumb question, what did his mother do as a slave? What did she work on or work as, or
like a
how was she working
housewife,
off there?
clean. Like, was she just like
Yeah.
a housewife?
She
I
also,
guess.
I can't remember what book it is, but she worked on little gadgets. I don't know, like cleaning, or maybe she did some soldering or whatever their version is in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, she worked on little gadgets and whatnot, maybe repairing them or whatever. I don't remember what book that was, but that's what they were referred to
She locked
her
up.
as doing, was the little, so
I think I think the thing I like about A Phantom Menace is that they establish, and you can see it throughout the films, is that the prequel is like he cares, and at the heart he just loves his family, and he becomes attached to the people in his life that he's willing to do anything for them. And I think that's what makes episode 6 so special, because I think he sees himself, and I know we're going to get to it eventually, but he sees himself as irredeemable
Yeah.
because he's lost everybody. Like, he killed Obi-Wan, Mother's dead, Padme's dead, and he's like, yes, you're my son, but it's too late for me. And
Yeah.
I think that's what makes episode 6 so special, because he was just this little kid on Tatooine that loved his mom and wanted to see the galaxy. And
Yeah, I mean, he dreamed of being a Jedi. That's what he wanted to do. And so when given that choice of going with Qui-Gon, but yet he was leaving his mother behind, that was a difficult choice to put on a little, what was he, 9?
Yeah.
8, 9-year-old.
He is too old. What? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Yoda.
I have my issues with the Jedi Council.
So we'll talk plenty about that in the next episode for sure. If not at the end of this one. Shoot, I lost. Oh, so Watto. I always thought it was interesting when he came back in Phantom Menace, or no, sorry, Clone Wars, and he came back in Chup Chup Watto, and he he was genuinely excited to see Anakin Skywalker. There was no like, oh, you left me for nothing and for dead or whatever. You took everything. He seemed very genuine in wanting to see him again. Now, the flip side of that is, Anakin could give two shits about sorry, PG-13, about Watto. I really think you sold my month. Like, he didn't care about Watto. Yeah. I really think Watto, though, did have something in his heart for Anakin, because, as you said, he kind of, took him under his wing. He taught him things. He showed him how to, do whatever. He had a natural knack, sure, Anakin did, for tinkering with things. But I don't know. I think he did not feel the same for Watto as Watto maybe felt for him.
Yeah, I think Watto had a soft spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that was he took him under his wing, or, hey, he can pod race and, make me money or whatever he can do to make me money. But yeah, in some sense, I think he did have a soft spot for Annie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was right at the same time. And it's interesting when you think about, Luke being however old he was, Rey being however old she was, all of these things in the universe, the Star Wars universe. Nope, too old, but yet they still train them. They still have these problems. Why do you, so you mentioned Qui-Gon. I think we can move into that. Do you think Qui-Gon was too eager, or was it that, oh, I know my purpose, it's to bring Anakin to the Jedi Temple? That's the kind of vibe I got. I don't know what you guys think.
I agree. I think that Qui-Gon felt Anakin was going to be like his final purpose through the Force before he, eventually learns how to, become one with the Force and those things. Like, I feel like he was so, because we can see it in later projects that he saw through Count Dooku the faults of the Jedi. Maybe not to the same extent that Dooku saw them, but I think that the thing that Qui-Gon had, that even though Obi-Wan loved Anakin and did what he could to train him, he didn't have that same type of love that I think Qui-Gon was going to give, and the same type of mentorship, fatherhood, and those type of things that Qui-Gon would have given him. Because I don't think if Qui-Gon lives, I don't think that the Jedi Council let him become a Jedi through the typical ways of becoming a Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that Qui-Gon and him would go off and do their own thing, and obviously that's probably how the better end of the story happens. But yeah, I think what Qui-Gon wanted to do it because he felt that's what the Force was essentially telling him to do.
So, and it's interesting you say that. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Debbie. Where you have Obi-Wan and Anakin getting into it, and he says, "I serve the Republic," and he's not talking about serving the Force or where the Force is leading him. And I think that's huge compared to what Qui-Gon, his attitude towards it was not, "I'm serving the Republic, I'm serving the Force, and I turn to the light because it's good, because it's there."
And that's why Qui-Gon was kind of considered rogue.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan was by the book pretty much, although he did, I mean, you could see during Clone Wars, the animated series, that he did kind of lighten up quite a bit. But for the most part, he tried to stay, within the protocols, within the rules. I think Anakin needed a combination of both in order to be successful. He needed to know the rules, but then he needed the soft touch of Qui-Gon. And I didn't mean that the way it came out. It sounded better in my head. I apologize.
That's okay. I may have stumbled onto one of those that I thought was a movie, but wasn't. That wasn't. But it's interesting you take that route, because I every single person that we come in contact with in our lives in some shape, way, or form help to create who we are, right? And so when we think of that and how that translates from the Star Wars universe and Darth Vader, then we can see Anakin as a child being influenced by his mother and Watto and the whatever scum and villainy that he hung out with on Tatooine. That was who he grew up with. I mean, Watto was a whatever. He was a scoundrel too, right? Shyster. He's trying to steal money or whatever from someone who needs help. And so he got some of that, and then he also got his mother, and he got all the scum. But then when Qui-Gon steps into his life, I think that's something he's heard about. I see your laser sword and all of these things, and I believe he would have. I think you're onto something there. If Qui-Gon hadn't died, he really looked up to Qui-Gon Jinn in a very short amount of time, and I would say that's huge. Yeah, go ahead.
The impact that Qui-Gon had in that short time period was huge. And I don't think people think about how a short time or just one particular event can affect somebody and change how their life might go or anything. But it does happen, just spending time. I don't know how many days that they got to spend together, but yeah, it was very impactful to Anakin, and I think he, in that short time period, he idolized Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
it didn't take much.
But no, and then stay in that cockpit. Like, he listened to him. He did what he was told. Yes, okay. The whole he said stay in this cockpit. Being a little smart ass. But he stayed in the cockpit and whatever. I think that's a little stretch. But go ahead.
Anakin always did little workarounds.
This is true. That's where Ahsoka learned it from.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing this, but I'm finding my own way of doing this. So I'm staying, in my lane.
And I think in that short amount of time, he learned some of that from Qui-Gon, because He's straight up, Matt. You'd already be a Jedi. What is it? Obi-Wan tells him you'd already be a Jedi Master if you would just listen to the council. Like, if you just shut up and do what you're told, you'd already be a master. And Qui-Gon's like, that crap don't mean nothing to me.
Well,
served
and
them great."
Obi-Wan said the same thing to Qui-Gon. If you obeyed the rules, basically, you could be on the council.
Yeah.
You'd be on the council.
Qui-Gon was a rogue, but he was a very gentle rogue. I like his style, and I think his style in the seeking, if you will. He was a seeker of truths, Qui-Gon, and a believer in the ultimate truth that there was a one, and that in this case, Anakin was said one. And we know now, in a weird way, that we weren't anticipating he was. You look like you're chomping at the bit there, man. Go.
Well, I think too, like another thing why he was so fond of Qui-Gon is because, like we mentioned earlier, like Debbie said, like he had wanted to be a Jedi. That's almost kind of a thing. Like it's not his hero, but he met a Jedi, which would be hypothetically his hero. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like I just met my hero, and he believes in me, and he thinks I'm special. Like, of course, I'm gonna love this guy. This other guy called me like another useless life form. I don't think Anakin heard that per se, but I mean Obi-Wan did say it, and so, but it's kind of like, of course, he's gonna be attached to this his hero that believes in him and thinks he's gonna, be special. I think there's probably also some Force workings in there too. You know what I mean? Maybe
perhaps I killed the Jedi and took it from him. Talking about the sword. That's impossible. No one can kill a Jedi. What? Only wish that were true. Some foreshadowing there.
Just jinx them.
Maybe you should have eaten for breakfast what Sabine ate for breakfast, and you could have taken that saber to the tummy a little better. Oh, too soon?
Don't forget Reva. She got stabbed like 4 times.
Oh, yeah, and Reva. Yeah. Then he died. Yes, then he died. No one could kill a Jedi. Oh, yeah, watch this. At least he didn't get to see that. I mean, could you imagine how terrible that would have been for Anakin to see Qui-Gon die? I don't know, man. You saw how terrible it was to see Han die, and everyone was an adult. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to see Qui-Gon die, being a child, and someone that just plucked you right up and very nonchalantly stole you from your mom. Freaking Jedi, man.
I don't know. Headcanon theory, they're going back when Jedi Council doesn't let Anakin be trained in the normal ways. They're going back to Tatooine for sure.
Yeah.
Anakin and Qui-Gon, at least.
Would you say that moving to that next tier? So in influence, you had we were talking. Was that on the last show? Where was it you, Cam, that said, Anakin went and did what he was supposed to do and talked to Yoda? Was that you that said that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you expand on that again? Because I think it's a huge. It speaks largely to the relationship that he and Yoda had. He trusted Yoda and believed anything that Yoda would say. But yeah, sorry, I don't want to talk. Go ahead.
So I mean, it's kind of like I said last episode. Like when he's having these thoughts of the dreams of Padme, same as he had when same visions he had of his mother, and he goes and talks to Yoda. And every time I watch the film, I was just telling my wife this earlier. Just like every time something like that happens, I'm like, why? Why do you have to tell him that? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I mean, Anakin's not being truthful too, but I think in the end, like he did what he was supposed to do. Like he goes and confides in the leader of the Jedi Order, hoping that he's going to get the right answer. But it's like, no, don't fear loss, And you're just like, I don't know. But Yoda had been telling people that for 800 years. So.
Yeah, and of 800 years, how many apprentices did he have or were close to that turned to the dark side? Several.
Mhm.
Oh, look at this. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point, Travis. Yeah, Yoda had the opportunity, and I think in Yoda's arrogance. Yeah, I said it, and I'll die on that hill. Yoda was an arrogant little turd. That kid, I mean, I would have kicked him. And we call him a puntable. That's what we call him. If I could get close enough. I got size 14 feet. So are we good now? Look at Darth Zane. What's up? How you doing, sir?
I'm
What's up,
here. I'm
Thursday?
sorry I'm late.
Why are you sorry? This is a later show, man.
It's a later show, and I wasn't ready for it, and I sat down and was watching my kids play Fortnite, and
Next thing you know, you woke up and was like, oh, God.
No, I woke up, and he was like, don't you have a show to do? I was like, crap. Yeah.
I know we don't get you on much, David, and so I was all excited when you're like, hey, okay, let's roll. Okay.
9 o'clock. And I was ready at 8. I had everything set. And I was like, oh. And then I looked at your thing. I'm like, oh, nuts.
Yeah, man.
I got an hour. Well, I can build some Legos in an hour.
Yeah, I pulled you into the stream, and your Lego camera was on there.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastic. What was the Lego build today?
The advent calendar was it's down on the floor. It was a shield generator or shield generator.
Nice. So those of you that don't know, Darth David Fur does the advent calendar Lego build every day, right? You're building another and broadcasting. So
every day since December 1st.
Yeah, you getting Legoed out yet?
No.
Can't get Legoed out.
Can you get Legoed out? Yeah, no, I don't.
No, you can't get Legoed out.
No,
I don't think so. Debbie, you're auspiciously silent. Do you like Legos and Star Wars Legos at that?
The plural of Lego is Lego, sir.
Lego. Lego. It's not Legos.
No.
It's like goose and geese.
Yeah.
Leggies. No,
it's
I don't do Legos. My oldest son. What?
Lego.
Right.
it's Lego. Apparently, he's gonna get frustrated. I'm not gonna get Legos.
Go ahead.
Anyways, I'll say it the way I want it. Damn it. He was very big into Lego, Star Wars specifically. Yeah, he had every Christmas it was some kind of Star Wars Lego thing. And
if you still got them, they're probably worth money.
I'm pretty sure he probably does. I could be wrong. Because I know he had built them and then he was hanging them from his ceiling at one point in one of the places he lived at. Because he had a lot of the ships and whatnot. So
what? A giant canvas map of Tatooine with a bunch of locations and events from his Hobby Lobby. It casually shows Anakin murdering Tuskens. That's fantastic.
Nice.
I gotta go find that.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what? This is a travesty right here. It really is, Travis.
If you're gonna buy Lego, you
how much you want for it, Travis?
I'll give you a quarter.
I'll take a quarter. I'll take it off your hands.
And here we go. I'm ordering one right now. No, this is funny. So getting back to this, and David, I'd like to bring you into the conversation at this point for sure. Just to recap, we've talked about him and Qui-Gon and their relationship, Watto's relationship, how these things are forming his psyche and forming his mental state. The scum that he would hang around with, even on Tatooine, working with Watto, his mom, all these relationships. And we were starting to talk about Yoda and how, Anakin does what he's supposed to do when he's struggling, and he goes to a master and speaks with him. Now, even though he wasn't completely truthful with Yoda, Yoda was kind of dismissive and like, well, you just know you don't do this because it leads to this. It seemed that he could have done more. What are your thoughts on that scene in particular? You know what the scene is.
Yeah, from episode 3. I thought that your comments about Yoda being an arrogant little turd.
Oh, you heard that?
Oh yeah, I was here. But I thought that was very amusing. Just because Yoda had that one line. And I don't remember if it was episode 2 or episode 3 where they're talking about the Jedi and he's arrogant and doesn't listen and blah blah blah. Oh yes, that's a trait more and more Jedi are falling a thing to these days. And I was like, a trait more and more Jedi, and I'm like, yeah, but you're kind of doing the same thing, aren't you? You're sitting there and I'm Yoda, ha ha ha, I can't touch me, ha ha ha. So
I think that was episode 3.
Was it episode 3? I was thinking it was. I wasn't sure if it was 2 or 3, but
Mace Windu. This is a Mace Windu hate club right here. I'm not a Mace Windu fan at all.
Man,
Count me in.
I love Samuel L. Jackson, but not a Mace Windu fan.
Oh.
Biggest hypocrite in the Jedi Order.
Mace Windu looked like he was pissed he had to go to work every day. Like, every time you saw him, he was like...
No, he's the guy that goes to work knowing he can do whatever he wants, guy or girl, sorry, that goes to work and knows they can do whatever they want and they're not going to get fired. They just go and do whatever. That's Mace Windu.
I love that you bring up Mace. It's a great segue. You do this all the time. Talking about the Jedi Council, right? So we've been moving through different pieces of Anakin's life here. There's things that we probably aren't going to speak to, like killing all the Tuskens. It's been talked to death, right? We know that that's a dark side trait. And then he feels sorry for himself and that he, isn't the Jedi he should be, blah, blah. But I want to skip forward because my show, I can do what the hell I want. I'm like Yoda or Mace for that matter. Mace Windu, I thought, at least from on screen that we've seen. Now, I think Clone Wars is a little different in some scenes, but he just, for the most part, is just like, he just doesn't like Anakin, it seems. Like, he's just put out anytime he has to talk to Anakin Skywalker. Like, he disagreed from the beginning, and so he's going to make sure he's a turd for the rest of his life against Anakin because he's against Anakin being allowed to be trained as a Jedi. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have issue with the council anyways. From the very beginning, I don't think they did right by Anakin at all. I don't have a problem with them letting Obi-Wan train Annie, but if you've read, and I've read a few, I don't read comics, but there's a few I've read, but in the comics, one, why would you tell the child that he's the chosen one?
Yeah.
Big mistake. 2, evidently they told everybody else he was the chosen one. So when he goes into training with all these other kids, they're all making fun of him. They're all resentful. They treat him like shit. They isolate him for the most part. And so it's like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to that child?
It's a lot like and not so much in the movies, but a lot of the times in the books, in the Harry Potter books, there was a huge clique of people that Harry Potter, the chosen one, the Messiah, the Christ figure, if you will, ha ha ha. No.
When Cypher tells Neo in the Matrix, he's like, "Did he really tell you?" And he's like, and he goes, "Geez, why would you do that?"
What a head trip.
Yeah, exactly. I thought of Anakin immediately once I'm revisiting all this, I'm like, holy shit, holy crap, it's too late, Dana. It's live.
Yeah, you're alive. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry. I cuss like a sailor, so it just kind of pours out.
Yeah,
I have to
I'm
restrain
trying.
myself sometimes.
I've
but-
had 3 hot cocos and another drink, so I'm cranking. But I think about the parallels there, and you're right too. Harry Potter, like why would you put that sort of pressure on an 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old boy? Like what's wrong with you? Or a brand new to the Matrix universe, brand new, popped out of the whatever they're called, the battery things, the pods. And then it doesn't make sense to me that you would do that to somebody. And anyone who works with anybody and knows, like, we just hired this dude and he's amazing, but you're not going to go running around telling everyone, hey, this chick's amazing, man, she's going to be able to do this and that. You just, hey, I hired this new person, they're pretty cool, and then you just let the chips fall, right? You don't set them up for this expectation. They're never going to reach it.
Yeah, you don't put them on a pedestal too early.
Well, I think they thought that he was like, I think in their mind, I think the reason why they tell him is because, well, I mean, if you are, you're going to live up to the expectations. Like, you are going to be the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, And I think kind of it was almost a form of testing him, I feel like, even though it's probably not the best test. But I think his entire time in the Jedi Academy is just childhood trauma.
Yeah, I often wonder if they had him go through some kind of counseling, for a lack of better word, of because we from the Phantom Menace, we know he misses his mom. He's Yoda senses fear and what have you. It's like, okay, so did anybody take him aside and do some counseling to help him come to some kind of reconciliation about his mother, and just trying to help the kid out, counseling, therapy, whatever.
That'd be too logical for the council to do. I think I saw on Twitter at one point there was this excerpt, and I think it was from like a journal Anakin had, and he was like, "I miss my mom. Does that make me a bad person that I miss my mom?" Paraphrasing, of course, but something like that.
Well, and his rationalization, right, about compassion, and that is love. And so, in a way, Jedi can, like, he rationalized a lot in his mind to kind of, I think, make him feel better about being a Jedi.
We're encouraged to love.
Yeah, that's what he says. No, you're not.
That was completely different. He was just trying to get into Padme's pants.
Is that where we're going? Oh my goodness! Yeah, we haven't even talked about Padme's influence on him.
Yeah, I think if
it was definitely mutual.
Yeah, well, it's Hayden.
Sure.
Padme's kind of mad weird, honestly.
I think if Obi-Wan would have opened himself up a little bit more about his relationship with Satine, and guided Anakin, because he knew there was something with Anakin and Padme. You can't tell me he didn't. So if he would have taken a little bit of balls and had that conversation with Anakin, either to help him, okay, we can't do Padme, I can't, well, that didn't come out right. Damn it. I need to, just do away my feelings on Padme, or leave the Jedi Order and go be with Padme.
Look, if them and the council are so big and badass, how come they didn't know? Like, how come they didn't know and call him out on it? Come on.
But
I think they were too concerned with the war. I mean, they were so thinly stretched, and of course they're sitting on top of a
but
Sith.
you can't sit there and tell me too with Satine that there wasn't Satine between Satine and Obi-Wan that something hadn't happened.
Yeah.
And at that point, you couldn't say Obi-Wan could have said, "It's fine to do it and keep it under the radar. Here's how you do it and keep it under the radar." This is
Yeah,
this is
you
how
know
you get
him.
away with it.
Him and Satine Vodio Dode. We know that.
And I'm sure it wasn't just Satine. I mean, he did just show up at a bar and they knew what his drink order was. That's all I'm saying.
He was like the Captain Kirk of the Star Wars universe.
100 Daddy Obi-Wan, they keep calling him.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Mhm.
Oh, God. No. I forgot, Debbie. You and your wall of.
Oh,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I like that comment there. I'll pop it back up again. He was more the brother that let Anakin figure out stuff on his own sometimes. He already
But
knew the answers.
Even a brother, though, at least my brothers, if I can figure my crap out, they would step in and say, "Look, you're screwing up here, sis. This is what you need to do."
So
And he didn't even do that. So it's like,
Well, I felt like Obi-Wan didn't want to let himself seem like he wasn't perfect. I feel like, and it's like, I think Obi-Wan thought he had to be like the perfect figure of what a Jedi was supposed to be, even though he was essentially going through the same stuff that Anakin was going through, and it doesn't make any sense when you kind of watch Clone Wars why he doesn't, kind of like what Debbie was saying. Like, that's what I do for my sisters. So
did he have a choice? Did Obi-Wan have a choice? I mean, Qui-Gon said, "Make sure that you train." I mean, but did he really have a choice? I don't know. I don't know that if he believed he had a choice. Like, maybe I'm not the best to train him right now. He's way more powerful than me. I don't want to piss him off. I've seen him get angry. I don't want to lose a limb myself. I don't know. I think maybe he was doing it out of duty. But I believe he did love him as a brother. But I don't know if maybe, Master Plo might have been a better, at some point in his career, person for him to follow. I don't know. I don't know that Obi-Wan was the best, as that's his first Padawan. And you're giving him the one.
It's the old adage that people always say all the time. You were my friend and my brother, but I needed a father. I needed somebody who was mature and could discipline him and not be afraid of him and discipline him.
Yeah.
And say, look, I love you, but it's wrong.
And going from Clone Wars to Revenge of the Sith, you have that transition of he's like a father to me to he's like my brother. Like there is a change that occurs during the Clone Wars that we see. If you watch that animated series, you can see that relationship change over time, and them actually get further and further apart due to his, I think, struggles with the Council and struggles with Ahsoka. God, that whole arc. And I mean, we can move into that if you want. The whole Ahsoka being blamed for the bombing and leaving the Jedi Order. Like, I think that had a huge impact on Anakin's psyche on what he thought he should be doing within in the grand scheme of things. Should I even be a part of this? Because I disagree so wholeheartedly. I think that's one of the major turning points.
well, that and the fact that, behind the scenes, Palpy is grooming him.
True.
Without anybody knowing from day one, basically, because, at the end of Phantom Menace, Oh, I'll be watching your career with great interest.
Yeah.
I think
You
Yeah,
know,
you did that
so
stuff on the down low. Now you told the Sith Lord this is the one. Like,
I think too.
exactly.
I think too. If you watch the movies, Palpatine's the only one who doesn't call him Annie.
yeah.
Everybody calls him Annie. Oh no, Anakin. Anakin. See, you're using my proper name and not calling me Annie. Oh, Annie.
Well,
grown
and
up.
and he's probably the one that gives him the most positive what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. It's
I
your
don't know
word.
either. My brain just went.
You said you might be asleep when the show started. I didn't know you'd be asleep by the time the show ended.
It's senior brain. I'm serious. It's
He
senior
napped before the
brain.
show like I did and showed up like 30 minutes late.
I was trying to stay awake because I was like, if I tried it, if I doze off in front of the TV, I'm doomed.
And that's exactly what I did.
So Palpy was the only one that was giving him positive encouragement every step of the way. Whereas, Obi was constantly reminding him of the rules, and then you had Mace, who was being a jerk. And then you had, the other Jedi they would make comments here and there, maybe not in the most positive light about him. And Palpy was the only one that was constantly giving him positive reassurance. I can't talk either, so.
He was the mentor. Like
Mhm.
he was kind of giving him, even though we obviously know it's not genuine, it's for ultimately his greater purpose. But I mean, he was kind of giving him the answers that I think Anakin kind of wanted or kind of needed to hear. Like it's okay to feel these things. Like it's okay to feel sad about your mother's death, and what he did to the Tuscans. I mean, it's understandable. Like some of us probably. I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. Given
It's
the
only
circumstances.
natural. He took your arm, you took his head.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I mean,
It's
like
perfectly logical.
Yeah.
It's an excellent trade, right?
He's the mentor, and he was a confidant for Anakin. Kind of what I think Anakin wanted Obi-Wan to be, but it was never going to happen that way. So
Yeah, Palpy didn't judge him.
No. But the internal struggle that Anakin had reveals itself so many times. I'm not the Jedi I should be. I can't believe I just did this. Snips, what are you doing? I'm listening to you. No, don't listen to me. Like he, I think, in his entire teen to adult life before he turned, was a struggle of I know what's right. I know what I'm supposed to do. It's just not me. Like I'm not that dude. Or was he? Was he that manipulated, or was he just inherently something else than what the Jedi thought he was?
I think it was something else than what the Jedi thought he was.
Yeah, and I think we get some of that.
And I think one of the key points that, and I wasn't sure if Cam had said this before or
David, can you move your mic to your face a little more, just to get a little?
There we go.
Thank you.
So I wasn't sure if Cam had said this before or not, and I know it's been mentioned before, but you've got the one line in The Last Jedi to where it's like darkness rises and light rises to meet it. There was always that the bring balance to the Force. Well, at the point where Anakin was born, the Jedi were in charge. They were running things. They were the dominant force in the galaxy, if you will. The keepers of the peace and all this other stuff. Well, that's not balance. So to bring Anakin in, the force to bring Anakin, or to bring Anakin in, was to bring balance to the Force, and that was to basically, we're going to create somebody that's the bad guy, the Sith, the dark side, if you will, to balance things out, because right now the light's got the upper hand, and that's not balance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think a lot of people miss that, as that, there's
But
always
Palpatine was there.
but Palpatine was there, but it was just Palpatine, and I
That was kind of downgrading Palpatine, Darsain.
don't care.
That's the Sith architect, man. We got to be careful, man. I tread lightly.
Yeah, because you had and I apologize. I always say his name wrong. You had Palpatine and Plagueis.
Oh, yeah.
Plagueis, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, Palpatine fulfilled. I mean, with Plagueis, that was his master killed him in his sleep. It was like he was supposed to do that. I get that. That makes perfect sense. And there's always supposed to be two. And to bring balance, Palpatine couldn't do it with Maul. I mean, obviously he couldn't do it with Maul because Maul got hacked in half. And it was actually funny. I was thinking about this the other day. It's over Anakin. I have the high ground, but both of Obi-Wan's biggest battles, be it with Maul or with Grievous, it was him hanging off of a ledge on the low ground. But whatever.
That's a great point, David. I haven't thought of. What if, out of fear, Obi-Wan didn't teach Anakin everything he knew,
so that he could have the upper hand? It's always the I'm gonna teach you just enough, but I'm not gonna teach you all of my secrets because I may need to defeat you someday.
I may have to chop your legs off. Yeah.
Well, wasn't that the thing when Anakin was like training as a Padawan? He would always, I know it's some comic I think that's come out, but he like had the droid, like he had like a Maul simulator droid that he would was kind of prepping, and that's how he wanted to defeat Obi-Wan in that moment. But I mean, so like Darsain, are you saying like the Force created Anakin knowing he was going to fall to the dark side, essentially?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Palpatine couldn't bring balance by himself because the Sith with the rule of two and everything, that's not balance. And Palpatine couldn't do it with Maul. He couldn't do it with Dooku. And with Vader or Anakin, that was the perfect balance right there.
Let's see, I have an issue with that because Palpatine wasn't exactly following the rules. He had Maul.
He was following the rules. He was doing exactly what a Sith needed to do. He was following
But he had backups. He had Maul. He had Dooku. I mean, he had all these people lined up.
Yes, but like for instance, Dooku and Maul were both Dark Lords of the Sith. Okay, but the Inquisitors, which were all ex-Jedi, Force sensitive, that Palpatine is the one that went out and grabbed those folks after Order 66. He's playing loosely, I think, with the rule of two, but he's still sticking to the rule of two because there's only the master and the apprentice. The other ones are just servitude. They have a role.
They're like
disposable.
They're acolytes. They're not really
right.
And the same thing was with now I can't even think of her name. Ventress, because Ventress was the exact same way, but you could not have Ventress being a Sith Lord. That's why they referred to her as many times as an assassin, a Sith assassin, because she could not be a Sith because there was already the two of them.
That's right.
So like, in the sense of the Force, I guess, creating Anakin, knowing he's going to bring balance, do you think, I mean, obviously him, like, do you think the end goal, like the Revenge of the Sith game, the alternate ending, if he doesn't burn and he kills Palpatine, is that thus not, like, bringing balance? Because, I mean, I don't think I'm explaining it very well, but it's like, I don't get if the Force created him knowing he was going to bring balance, but Palpatine is still comes back, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really know where I was going with that.
I don't believe that, like, the Force knew. I don't think the Force is omnipotent or cognizant of paths and whatnot. Someone can tell me I'm an idiot. I truly believe that the Force was trying to bring balance by creating an individual that could walk the line and be a balanced individual. And we see the potential of that with the whole Mortis father sister brother arc in Clone Wars. And I like that's what it knew. It collective Force was trying to do. But free will, right? I mean, and yes, we have a destiny in the Star Wars universe, but even Yoda's like, future, it's always changing. So I don't know that the Force knew he would fall to the dark side. I think it was more, we can create this this being is going to be created so that it can carry both dark and light sufficiently as to not destroy the world and or be destroyed. I don't know. That's kind of the way I always looked at it, especially in the last, say, 5 years or so after that episode arc.
Oh, that's valid. I think that
like it like a gray Jedi.
no, that's not a thing.
That's not. We're not.
No.
Not
Even
a thing.
Bayless
Not a
Skull,
thing.
man. We are not Jedi. But he didn't say it was Sith. But he didn't say I'm a gray anything. Man, I can't with the gray stuff, man. Just
That's
same,
like saying,
Dana. Not vibing with it.
We've discussed this many times on Cantina Happy Hour. Saying a gray Jedi is like saying an atheistic Christian. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, oxymoron, 100%.
So
moving into, we're gonna save the battle for next week. If you all are available, we could continue the conversation. The battle. I'm talking the Obi-Wan battle. So 12 minutes of them fighting. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that was said through that, the transition to Vader, and what happened immediately after that. That's going to be next week for all of you folks. But I want to kind of move to that scene, and this will be what we kind of close out this show with. So the scene where Anakin is watching the Senate building and all this and whatnot, and then Padme is watching. Everyone is just in this state of tension.
The music there was amazing.
Oh my God!
Padme's Reminiscence, I believe, is what the piece was called.
Rumination.
Top three scene.
There are moments in that entire piece of that movie that I was just blown away with the whole seduction of the dark side. Starting with, is there any way to know this power, to say Padme and all this, right? He's seducing him. And then we get to this moment where what is he thinking? And they don't tell you what he's thinking. But I want to ask you all, when he's looking and he's whatever, and he gets up to leave and he goes to see Padme, and then he goes, no.
He goes straight to the Senate.
He goes straight to the Senate. That's right. He visits Padme after when he becomes Vader, which we'll talk about next week. So right when he's like, that's it, I'm going. What is he thinking? Because he's not going there to kill Mace, right? He's going there for another reason, and that's what I want you guys to talk about.
I think he's going there strictly to keep Palpatine from being killed. Whether it's and because he knew Mace was very much Mace was very much dealing in absolutes. Yeah. He is a Sith, he must be killed. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. But he knew that Mace, and he knew Mace's character, and Mace's character is, he's, for lack of a better term, he's very trigger happy. Kill first, ask questions later kind of thing. So he's action oriented. So he's like, I know he's given the chance, he's gonna kill this guy, and this guy knows how to save Padme because obviously he's been having the visions of Padme dying in childbirth and all this other stuff, and if he kills him, then I'm not going to figure out how to save her. I mean, the whole seduction, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
with the it's funny, he could save others from death, but not himself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
he needed to know, and this isn't touched at all in the movies. It's in the novel, which the novel for Revenge of the Sith adds so much
Mm.
to the seduction part of Anakin. And one of the big things was that Anakin was attempting to save Padme. There was a document or something in the Jedi archives that he was attempting to access that was going to show him how to use the Force to do this, how to prevent this death from happening, the death of Padme. Well, he couldn't. Only a master could access the file that he needed. Well, then all of a sudden he's on the council. It's like, oh, I'm on the council. I'm going to be a master. I can get at the file. I can find out what I need to find out. And of course, the whole meme thing where we grant you a seat, but we're not making you a master. He's like, and that's why he was so pissed off about it. It wasn't because he wanted the power. It wasn't. It was like he wanted to get into that library and save Padme. That was the big thing. And it was like, okay, well, you cut that off from me. You said I can't have that because I'm not a master yet. So now this is my only route. This is the only way I've got to go. This is the way I've got to do it. So,
yeah, it's like, yes, you're two pieces of bread and a piece of meat, but you're not a sandwich, you're a hot dog. I mean, that's essentially what they told him. And he didn't want to be a hot dog. He wanted to be a sandwich with everybody else, with the lettuce and the tomato and the mustard. No, you're just a hot dog. I know that's a silly thing, but it actually is what I've always thought of, is that he thought that the title was what was going to give him, yes, access, but was going to give him the validity and credibility and like, okay, yes, now I am the Jedi I should be. I am now a master and I can be the most powerful Jedi because I serve on the council. All the things that he was led to believe by the Jedi, that you're the one and this and that, but we're going to hold you down. Why would you do that to somebody? Tell them they're all this, and then don't let them try to achieve that. Sorry, unless you're afraid.
Mace.
Yeah, they don't trust him, or Mace doesn't trust him the most.
Sorry, I got off topic. But yeah, so what about you two? What was he thinking? What did he want to do when he went to the Senate?
For me, when we're talking about the scene where it shows him looking towards Padme and she's looking towards the temple or whatever. I mean, he actually did the right thing. Once he found out Palpy was the Sith Lord, he immediately went and told Mace. And, kudos to him. So when Mace says, well, okay, well, a bunch of us are going to go over there and confront him, blah, 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 blah. And then, I kind of agree with Dave, where he's probably thinking, but what if he can't be, he's a Sith Lord. What if he can't be brought in? What if he can't be arrested? Mm-hmm. He's a Sith Lord. I need to save Padme. And I think he started having second thoughts, is what he was thinking, because he loves Padme so much and doesn't want her to die, wants to save, the baby too. So, yeah, when he's looking off, I think he's running all these scenarios in his head and coming to the realization that I don't think I made the right choice.
Well,
and
go ahead.
Decides to run off after him. So
yeah, his piece in that, I think he wanted to be there again to show, like, Mace. I mean, you brought this up way early, like the father figure of Watto-ish, right? He kind of was a father figure. Obi was kind of a father figure. I mean, Mace in the count, you said he went to his, the head of the
Daddy.
group, yeah, and said, "This is what's going on." And are you telling me, for 20 whatever years of his life that he spent at the temple or with the Jedi Order, all of the missions he ran, he and Obi-Wan are the only two people that have killed Sith Lords as far as we knew, right? And you're going to have neither of them there? What the hell's wrong with you? Sorry.
Mace didn't want him there because he said, I sense like
confusion
like,
or yeah,
like your vision
Well,
spotted, like you're not thinking straight.
And
Some
Obi-Wan was
conflict.
off on Utapau, so
yeah, he was. That's right.
Yeah.
Seeking out Grievous. That's right.
But that's the same. That's the same kind of thinking. I was watching Empire the other day, and I'm like, there's kind of a problem here because Yoda says you must not go. Only a fully trained Jedi Knight with the Force as his ally can defeat Vader. And I'm looking at it going, so why don't you go, Yoda? You're fully trained. Go with him. He can sit on your lap. You can go with him. Y'all take Vader together.
I seen Mandalorian.
We'll do a reverse.
I know that little thing can sit up there too. There's plenty.
We'll do a reverse rule of 2 on this one. 2 Jedi, 1
He's
Sith.
too old, and he knew he was dying.
Yeah.
I know, right?
He's getting
He
waxed.
still had 3 good years left in him. He could have taken Vader.
No, he's getting waxed.
Yeah, Vader would have mopped the floor with him, man.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. What do you think, Cam? What was he thinking, looking out there? What was his intent when he went there?
I mean, honestly, I think he was trying to reason with Mace. Like, during the whole, confrontation, like, he's telling Mace, like, you can't, like, you must stand trial, which Dooku didn't get to stand trial, which is kind of ironic. But anyways, it's like, I need him.
Yeah.
It's like, don't. Like, I need to know what he tells me that he knows, and I think, he did what he was thought was right, and I think too that if Obi-Wan would have been on Coruscant, I think Anakin goes to him instead of Mace, and I think maybe things play out a little differently. But I think he's going there just to not save Palpatine, like to save him, but save him because I need to know what he knows for this purpose.
Can you just hold off on killing him for about 10 minutes? Let him tell me this thing.
Yeah.
Well, like,
and then you can kill him.
Well, like, when Palpatine tells him that he's a Sith Lord, he's like, Palpatine's like, you would like to strike me down. Anakin's like, well, I would certainly like to, because like, Anakin's like, you're the reason for all this. My wife almost died because of you, essentially. Like, you're the mastermind behind this. Like, it's just unfortunate. It's all Mace Windu's fault in my mind.
And so if Mace was an influence, good or bad,
Terrible.
We know it's been documented, whatever, Vapad or however you say that form, lightsaber form, like you kind of have to tiptoe the line to use that form anyway, because it does use an aggressive technique. So when you look at Vader and you look at Yoda, and he gets pissed off. Yes, his eyes don't go flashy because he's a Jedi, but Yoda got pissed at Dooku and when he was fighting him. So to totally deny that to state that these Jedi were anything less than perfect is just foolish. They had their own faults, but I believe that in the capacity that they were serving, they could not see past their own faults.
They can't see the forest because of the trees.
Yeah. Can't see the force, the force through Tatooine. No, I don't know. Whatever. It's the force through the trees, though. Through Endor.
Oh, there you go.
I was trying to make that work. That was a stretch.
I got it.
Not as witty and quick at 10:30 after 3 hot chocolates and a bucket. So, wrapping all this up, because we've been at it for an hour and a half, we could continue on this piece, but we'll save some for next show. Just to kind of recap and get some final thoughts. So, Anakin, taken from his mom, the Jedi Order are the ones that did that. Qui-Gon is the one that forced it. But Qui-Gon, sir, as you pointed out, Cam, I thought that was a unique touch because he did look up to Qui-Gon very quickly. Qui-Gon dies. We're glad he didn't die in front of Anakin. But ultimately, Obi-Wan has to go on his word and take care of raising. I mean, he was raising Anakin. And that's one of the pieces that I'd really like to dive into on another show is trying to understand that whole, what's the giggle? What I missed?
Yeah, just look at the comments.
Travis.
Oh, yeah. There we go. That's right.
See, now I got to go back and read the Revenge of the Sith novel.
That's insane. I cannot believe we're going to.
I mean,
I didn't read that out loud because, yeah. So then we moved.
And it's a nice one. You can't deny it.
That's Tatooine's butt.
Yeah, it is. That's Tatooine, but so,
Oh my!
and then it was
Get
the
warm in
Jakku
here.
butt. So Jakku butt. You have father figures like Qui-Gon, like Obi-Wan, like Watto, and how those people influenced. And then he gets to Padme, which we barely touched on, but I mean, his love for Padme, he would have he did. He tore the galaxy apart. And even we see in the video games, we're hiding behind the wall, and we see is that Jedi? Is it Survivor, where he's working on the?
No, that's the VR game.
Oh yes, Vader Immortal. That's right.
Yeah.
Which chapter? I've only been on the first 2 chapters.
It's good. It's
that's
spoilers.
I'm spending my Christmas money and buying the rest of it. So,
yeah, I love that, man. And it shows his dedication to his mission of trying to even bring Padme back. And then the whole bit about the council and having Mace and Yoda and all the others really. They kind of talked down to him. I think he gained a lot of respect during the Clone Wars, but he was always getting in trouble because he never followed exactly how he was supposed to do it or what he was supposed to do. That influenced Snips, and when she left the Order, I really think that was a big straw that started to change his mind about what he was doing and what his goals were. Because I don't know, does anyone know the time frame between Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith? Like how much time takes place?
The Clone Wars lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
Between the end of Attack of the Clones, when begun the Clone Wars has, to it's over, Anakin, I have the high ground. That was a 3-year span.
Okay.
So I don't know how much time there was between when Ahsoka left the Order, and because the Clone Wars ended with the whole Ahsoka doing the siege at Mandalore, and then Order 66 happens on her way back. She's captured Maul, and they're on their way back, and Order 66 is happening. So I don't know the span between her leaving the Order and that happening. I'd have
But
to.
my point being, it was pretty fresh, right? In everybody's mind. Well, I know the story was written but you know what I'm saying. In the timeline, it would be still fresh with him, and he was a little more, I'd say, pissy.
Well, it was. I mean, 3 years is not a whole lot of time. I mean, even if that happened like right at the beginning of the Clone Wars, which obviously it didn't. The Clone Wars had been raging for a while at that point.
Sure.
But even if that had 3 years is still in the grand scheme of things, a very short amount of time.
Yeah, agree. Then we moved into Mace and the final kind of showdown with Palpatine and the thoughts and feelings of Anakin. Man, a lot. There's so much to unpack. I had told somebody I was doing a three episode show on Vader, and they're like, "That's it." so yeah, we'll do more later. But for the point and purpose of this one, we just kind of wanted to review him growing up, his influences, what sort of events influenced him, and I think we compared some of that to Harry Potter, Neo, just being told is a whole nother can of worms. When you tell someone you're supposed to be awesome, then you're never able to live up to those high and unattainable expectations. But anyhow, yeah, thank you guys. That was a lot, and hour and a half. This might be the longest show we've ever done. And again, we could probably keep going, but we're not because I'm exhausted. So, thank you guys. Any parting shots about Vader? And like, if you had one thing to say about Vader right before he turns into Lord Vader, when he's Anakin, is there any point that I missed that you wanted to bring up in the show? I'm sure there is.
I've got some thoughts about when he actually becomes Vader. I get he's named Vader by Palpatine, but I don't know. I got a hot take. I don't think the guy that slaughters all the Jedi in the temple's Vader, in my opinion.
I don't think so either.
We're
going to talk about that transition next week.
All right. I'll save my thoughts.
The transition in the temple, the transition with Padme, the transition with Obi-Wan, and of course, pre-Obi-Wan, the transition in Mustafar with the separatist leaders.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good chunk of what we're talking about, because it really does shape the lore and legend of Vader for the rest of the galaxy, really.
He liked killing the separatists. I don't think he enjoyed killing the Jedi. I think it was just something that this is kind of what I have to do. I don't know.
I would. Oh no, I wouldn't. Never. Anyone else have a little something to add for this part of his life?
The only thing I can say is Anakin as a whole and his fall to Darth, or his rise to Darth Vader, is
good choice of words.
It's just all a series of misfortunate events.
Oh yeah.
His whole life up to that moment is just a series of unfortunate events.
How much loss can you take before you lose your mind?
Well, I lost my mind a long time ago. But I've had a lot of losses too, so
It's not easy, man.
I'm not Sithy, but
no, I mean, don't go Jedi Temple on us and kill a bunch of people.
Oh, just you wait.
Regretting it 10 minutes later. Oh yeah, 100%. Like, you can see that. We'll talk about it next week. But like, in that scene right after the mace thing, you could see like he was like, "Oh crud, I messed up big time." Yeah, we'll talk about that. What was this? Another little bit. Yeah, true. Man, you can't let those younglings live because they turn into Jedi, and the Jedi can be relentless.
The Jedi are relentless.
Yeah. Darth Zane, you didn't have a party shot. You got something?
I got nothing.
Awesome.
I'm anxious. A lot of my parting shots have to do with next week. I don't want to jump into the future. So.
Well, and I know it's the 26th, and we all have family things, and it's holiday, but we are still going to go live. So if you want to be a part, please let me know, and we will make sure to have you on.
I will do my best.
Oh, that's a great way to look at this.
Well, and
like
honestly, too, I mean, you got to think about it. You had the I can't even remember her name from the Obi-Wan series.
Reva.
She was a youngling.
Yeah.
I don't know why they just didn't gather him up and train him.
Because there can be
too
only
indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you make them assassins, right? It's the only thing you can do. And then you can pick from the assassins, the ones that you maybe want to make an apprentice when you burn one out or they get killed. Palpatine had some longevity, though, man, as a human. Like, Exar Kun, of course, but, I mean, Palpatine, and then he returned somehow. That's another show. But
He was a clone. Come on.
Oh, you mean Anakin didn't fulfill the prophecy?
yeah, that's what
Current
that
ma-
would mean.
Did the current management watch the 6 films prior?
Mm. We know Taika Waititi didn't watch any Star Wars. Okay, leave that. So we also talked on the show tonight. We talked a little while about MCU, even though that's not our bag. But Jonathan,
Majors.
thank you, Majors.
Majors.
Big news today. So we talked about that for a little bit and what might the MCU hold. So, David, you missed that. Thank goodness, because that would be like stealing from your show, your content.
No, we already
we
talked,
talked about it.
Oh,
We
y'all
talked about it last night.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
We're
Yeah,
good.
I didn't see that. I apologize. I'm terrible.
Oh,
God, I swear.
I watch your show.
Well, so I have to be careful what I watch of yours because I am not always caught up to where you guys are and whatever.
No.
I mean,
Oh, he's avoiding the spoilers. I got you. All right.
yeah, that's why. Yeah,
I got you. All
that's
right.
why. No, I'm just no,
Yes,
for real.
that's why.
That's why when I do join, and I know you're doing so, like when you guys were going through Loki, I hadn't seen it all yet, and so I just would join at the end and just make stupid comments to make everybody laugh. But I do enjoy the show when I know what's happening. So, but you guys make sure you tune in on Monday nights to MCU Mondays.
Not this Monday.
Not this Monday. That's Christmas.
Oh, we're done for the year for MCU Monday.
Oh, y'all are done. So 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, we've got because we're not doing Christmas Day. I mean, obviously, and we're not doing New Year's Day. So
New Year's Day.
The next 2 Mondays we're taking off.
Crap! I wish I could have off. Actually, I have.
But we will be doing Thursday, so.
Oh yeah, and
well, we do have Thursday. Day after tomorrow, we will
happy
be.
Hour is on Thursday.
We'll be in the cantina next on this Thursday, but then I think we're taking 2 weeks off of that one too.
Cool.
Just because
we're going to be cranking through next week. We're going to be talking about kind of midsection towards the end of Vader, who he became, the moment he kind of goes at Mace until I don't know. We'll cut it off at some point because there's going to be so much to talk about from Return. I think right before Return of the Jedi is where I want to stop, and then we'll talk about ROTJ through whatever extra we've had. So cool, man. Shadow of the Sith. I don't think I read that one.
My mom bought it for me for Christmas. I will be tuning in.
You've been snooping through your Christmas presents?
She had like the Amazon like wish list thing, and it's not there anymore. So
lame. That's why my wife told me. She said, "I need you to log out of Amazon on your phone completely, and I need you to log out of Target completely on your phone." Why? Because I've got stuff coming, and it's going to alert you on your phone when it's here.
And see, I don't want to tell my wife yet. Like, I want that TIE bomber. It's gorgeous. The Lego TIE bomber.
Oh yeah.
But it's like I'm like, don't buy it.
What? Why not?
I mean, because it's expensive. Like
Charla, if you're watching, I'll take it. If you buy it for him.
Do you see this AT-AT behind me right here?
Beautiful. Yes.
$800. That's not too expensive.
Surely you didn't pay that.
I did. It's $800 brand new on the shelf. Actually, I think they bumped the price up like $850.
So we're changing the theme of next week. It's going to be called SWI, Star Wars Intervention. And we're talking about the Lego intervention. No, Legos are cool though, man. I've got
Lego is cool.
I love Legos.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Oh my god. So next week we're going to talk more about it. We'll see what else news is out there. I don't have any articles right now, but we do have, like I stated in the beginning, Ambrose, I believe is working on an article about Jonathan Majors. So go check that out later today. David, no, you don't have any articles anymore, do you?
No.
Must be nice. I'm going to have to make that plea. But I only have one show, not two. So, there is that. So I'll have to keep writing for a while. Man, I don't have anything else. Just want to wish everyone a great, safe happy holidays. Spend time with your family, loved ones, friends, and friends that are family. And, remember those words of Obi-Wan. You were my brother, Anakin. I think that says and speaks volumes to Obi-Wan's character and how much he loved Anakin, and how much Anakin loved him, that he felt that betrayed that he yells, "I hate you." And we'll talk about that next week too. We'll see this lineup next week, yeah?
Hopefully.
All right. Maybe we'll add Zane. I don't know. Oh, no. Zane's not going to be here next week either, because he's going to be at the bowl game for Texas State. He's marching in their bowl game. Texas State's very first bowl game ever.
Nice.
So he'll be in that.
Wow.
Watch for him on TV on the sideline. So, we'll miss him for 2 weeks. So, suck down. All right. I think that's all I have. You guys have a great night, and we'll see y'all next week. And remember, kids, peace is a lie. There's only passion. Good night.